All right, Mike said that I am live, so I think that I am live. Guys, thank you very much for joining. Hobby Palooza back again for the second year. It's the third year, but it's my second time. I'm excited to be here. First off, want to thank Ty and Mike for allowing me to come back on. This is awesome. All the shows I've watched so far have been really great. So just excited to be here. I'm going to knock out a couple of little housekeeping things before we get started. So there is a giveaway on Monday night. Ty and Mike, for their Monday night show on Bench Clear Media, they're going to be giving away a lot of really awesome Panini products. And so the way that you get involved with that is through super chats. So super chats through these live streams, it's $5, gets you an entry in. And then kind of the more entries, obviously, the more chance you have to win. And these are not, cheap boxes. This is good stuff. So definitely take advantage. Signatures for Soldiers is the charity that is also going to get part of this funding as well. So a lot of good things going on. So again, thanks to Mike and Ty for having me on. This is going to be kind of a show and tell of all sorts of different stuff. I noticed too that a lot of the channels ahead of me are very baseball heavy. And so I wanted to kind of pull out some of my baseball stuff. I'm not going to pretend like I have a ton of baseball because I don't. I would say really kind of the meat of my collection is Hall of Fame autos across a lot of different sports. I am a dad. I've got 4 kids. My youngest has autism, and he's actually the only card collector in the family. He's huge into Pokemon right now, and he wants all the shiny Pokemons. Fortunately, they've printed so much of that sort of thing to where getting shiny Pokemon cards not difficult to do at a good price. So I'm having fun taking him to shows, and he's going through all the Pokemon dollar boxes and stuff, negotiating with dealers. Actually, funny story: we were at the Raleigh card show last weekend, and he went through the boxes. He took out a stack of about 25 different shiny Pokemon cards. And I said, all right, walk up to these dealers and, the guy in the red shirt and, ask him, what's your best price for these cards? And so he does it, and he's kind of shy, and he walks up. He's 7. So he walks up and he's like, so what's your best price for these cards? And the guy, he grabs him. He's like, oh man, you're coming at me. You're negotiating. You're coming at me hard with these negotiations. And he looks through and he's like, well, I don't really need these as much, but I'll give you $12 for these. And I was like, oh, no, you don't understand. Like, we pulled these out of your boxes. We're trying to buy from you. So it was kind of funny. We actually almost got $12 for cards that weren't even ours from the dealer, but it was a good time. So, and then my wife, technically not a card collector, but she was actually buying stickers, soccer stickers. She was born and raised in Italy. So she was actually collecting Panini products before it was ever even cool to do so. So that is my family story. My wife's a saint, allows me to collect all the weird stuff. And we're going to go through some of that weird stuff today. I'm going to start with some of the baseball stuff since we've got a baseball crowd here. Let's go with... This is a playoff auto, Nolan Ryan. So this is the picture is from where Bo Jackson hit a shot right off of his face, I think, and where he's bleeding on his jersey. I just like the inscription autos as well, too. So not graded or anything, but I like the fact that he's, inscribed it. Just overall, I like kind of these playoff Don Russ, cards from the mid to late 2000s. Pretty cool. It's numbered out of 50. And my favorite baseball card that I own is actually this one. It's a 2001 Fleer Showcase Willie Mays auto. It's the Sweet Sigs, the leather version. It's a PSA 7, so this is the highest graded version of this card. And I did some research on it before I bought it. I got it about a year ago so they had to buy it now at $600 or $650 for this one. And I ended up trying to negotiate. I made an offer at like $500, and I looked it up, and it was a redemption. And they believe basically there was only about 60 of these. And then, of course, like not all of them were redeemed. And so I ended up going back and paying the full, the $650. I was like, cancel my offer. I just wanted it, $650 or whatever. So I was excited to pick up. It's my only Willie Mays autograph card. I've been looking for more, but as many of you know, it's not inexpensive. Let me say hello to Justin. Oh, I forgot. It's not my live stream. I can't pop these up. All right, Justin Sports Card Museum. Good luck, Dustin. Don't make us North Carolina people look bad. I'll do my best, man. I will do my best. What's up, Grant? Good to see you. Michael Stone, Rick Lyle, the Grazing Cow. Fair enough. Fair enough. I ate on one live stream, and now Brad called me the grazing cow, and now I've got guys like Rick in the chat. Michael Stone, Justin. All right, cool. Yeah, guys, feel free to throw in. I'm just going to feed off the chat as well. So if you've got stuff to talk about, what are you collecting, all that stuff, let me know. That 70s card show. Good to see you. All right. All right. So, yeah, going kind of back to the Hall of Fame auto stuff. Flawless, not game used. So that's kind of the knock on this card. But I like Joe Namath autos. I've got a few of these, not a ton of them, but this is an old insert. And I like the pack pulled stuff as well. So this is a passing the torch insert. It's numbered out of 100. Very difficult to find. And then it's graded. Sorry, I'm not holding this right. These are tricky to find, and they were pack pulled back in the early 2000s, of course, too. You didn't see a lot of autos. There's a numbered one that's just Joe, and then there's one with Chad Pennington as well. So the Chad Pennington one with Joe's auto is not as sought after as you can probably imagine. That always seems to happen where you got, some QB with Jamarcus Russell or whatever. Huge New Orleans Saints fan. So Drew Brees is kind of the PC guy for me. This is one of my favorites. It's 4 patches, 4 autos. The only one on here that's kind of like, is Antonio Pittman. He was a running back for us back in 2008. Robert Meacham and then Marcus Colston, Brees were all on the Super Bowl team. All right. Jerry West auto. Hometown Heroes. I like the National Treasures and the Flawless stuff that's sealed, and I just leave it sealed. I'm not I have a lot of raw cards that I want to get graded, but it's just kind of waiting for grading to come down, become faster, all the rest of it. I'm not in a huge hurry, to be honest. Not trying to, to move any of these. These are ones I just want to sit on for a long period. Bo Jackson, the man from 1989-90. I've always wanted just one really nice kind of Raiders Bo Jackson auto. Was able to pick this one up here. Fapino Man, how's it going? Michael Rios, what do you use to track your inventory software? So I've used Excel spreadsheets before. I've tried to use my collection features. That's kind of tricky through the data tools. I'll be honest with you. I have some of it tracked. I should say I have probably 80% of it tracked, and then new stuff comes in and I'm behind on kind of keeping tabs on it. I'm not as organized as I'd like to be as far as having it all mapped out. Lou Rock TV, thanks for joining. Philly Joe, $20. Thank you very much, sir. That gets you entered. They should put out a Namath Pantyhose relic card. I'm sure that's coming. Hey, if Fanatics if they're going to do kind of what they want to do, and if you have a triple logo man going for $2.4 million, what would a Namath Pantyhose relic card go for? At least that, right? At least. All right. What else do we have here on the? Hold on. I'm going to try to go in order a little bit so that I'm not totally all over the place. So just kind of going back. I'm a big football card collector, if you haven't noticed. Eric Dickerson. Flawless. Steve Largent doesn't get enough love, does he? Exquisite Steve Largent stuff, very inexpensive, and I like the silver signature. This is one I picked up. One of my better Brees cards, I would say. This is the 1-of-1, the black box from the National last year to kind of commemorate just a great time at the National last year. And then it's also, it's Brees. It's that 100 years stuff. Pretty cool. I traded as part of this. I gave cash, but then I also traded a Baker Mayfield auto. We'll see if that ends up being a good. Right now, it was a good trade, but who knows? Maybe Baker Mayfield will make a comeback. Also, a huge fan of Barry Sanders stuff. Got this one a while ago, year and a half ago, when stuff was still fairly inexpensive. This is first year exquisite. It is numbered, I believe. No, this one's not numbered, but it is first year exquisite. I just like the picture, like the Lion stuff. Steve Largent, OKC boy. Lester Hayes, stick him. Yeah, I have the Largent rookie card in a 6. I didn't pull that one out, but I know there's a lot of baseball folks. Honestly, guys, that's part of my collection that I want to round out more. I've talked to Mike Moynihan about this as well. But vintage baseball has certainly gone up quite a bit in price, whereas football, it has gone up, but there's still, I just feel like a lot of that Hall of Fame rookie card stuff is inexpensive in comparison. One of the first cards that I bought when I got back into the hobby, this was in 2018, a Jim Brown in a 3, and it was right at $200, which back then that was a lot of money to spend on a card. I was like, man, I'm crazy to buy this, but I'm glad that I did. It's a classic card. It's become more of a classic as well. We'll kind of stick along the same lines with some of the vintage football stuff. Got a good price on this one. I would say PSA 6 is kind of my sweet spot when it comes to, I would say that's kind of where I'm targeting to be. Once you get into 7s, 8s, 9s, the price points are just a little bit too much. I'd really like to pick up a Bart Starr 6, but this is an Otto Graham in a 6. Pretty good looking Otto Graham rookie. Does he have more titles than Tom Brady or the same amount? He's got 7 titles, so I think he's got the same amount. Pete Maravich rookie, flip over to basketball. But again, 6 was kind of I actually, one regret that I do have is I had a Dr. J rookie in a 6 that I bought when I got back into the hobby for, again, it was kind of in that $200, $250 price point. It went up to like $600, $650 during the craziness. And so I sold it. Now I wish I'd kept that one. That was a mistake, because now I want to go back and get that card. And of course, it's more expensive. Another one of the first ones, just getting back in. Montana in an 8. It was $120 back in late 2018. Here's another just kind of Hall of Fame auto. Staubach. This is a cool set too. If you're looking for, so it's game used 2001 Upper Deck, the pros, what is it? Pros and Prospects, a piece of history. So it's got a nice on-card auto, and then it's got game used stuff there as well. So if you're looking for football, that's a nice set, that early 2000 Upper Deck Pros and Prospects. So for me, these are kind of the ultimate cards going back to my childhood. So this is a card that not in a million years would I be able to afford in 1989, 1990 when this came out. And that was really kind of, I would say 87, 88 is when I got into cards. I started buying baseball packs at the gas stations. I've said in a recent video, but my dad was in the military. We would go on Saturday mornings to the jetty to go fishing. They had a shopette there where we would get RC Colas, moon pies, and I would get a pack of 87 Donruss baseball, or maybe it was 88. But that was really kind of life. That was life back then. I remember going to the card shop and seeing 89 score and freaking out. Like, man, these cards are unbelievable. One of my buddies' dads was hoarding, had boxes and boxes, probably cases of 89 score. And I remember thinking like, man, that dad is so cool. He's got all this 89 score stuff. My dad was supportive, but he wasn't buying into it like that. But this was a huge chase card for me. And so one of the first things I got when I got back into the hobby was a complete 89 score football set. And it was $50, going back in 2018, and didn't really care about it. It was in a binder. I mean, I didn't care about the condition. It was just more about having a complete set of this. And so since then, of course, I've picked up, I don't have 10s. So that's something on my wish list. I've got Aikman, I've got Irvin, I've got Thurman Thomas in a 10, but I don't have Barry or Aikman or Irvin in a 10. Derek Thomas, obviously a big chase card in a 10. These were more along the lines of the packs I was opening up. And actually a bunch of my buddies at last year's National, we bought a box of this for like $30 and opened it on camera. It was really fun. And we actually did get a Barry in there. So again, kind of, picked up one of these as well in a 10, because these were it's that nostalgia, just going back to the packs I was opening up. I'm sorry if I'm missing some of the chat here. I'm just talking away. The Desert Storm cards, no, I don't. RC Cola and moon pies. Yeah, we were in Panama City, Florida, Brendan. So yeah, we're on Tyndall Air Force Base is where my dad was stationed. I'm going to stay on the football here while we're on it. And so Bradshaw rookie. I love this card. I would love to have a higher grade of it. This is the highest grade I've got. I've also got a 6. A PSA 6, but I just love the red, and of course the bordering. It's tough to find good edges. Centering is always kind of an issue. This one is actually centered pretty well. The corners are a little bit soft. Centering it's off a little bit, but it's the edges and the red card in general, the coloring on this that struggles. But so I've got a couple of the Bradshaw rookies, and then to go along with Bradshaw, got to have Staubach, so I've got 2 of these in a 6. Like I said, my sweet spot is the PSA 6 as far as price point goes. So Staubach, Bradshaw, those 70s QBs, the dominant guys. Here's a card that if you were, so junk wax era, I know some people don't like to hear that, but we're going to kind of the early 90s. I remember seeing this back when they had huge card shows at the mall. Believe it or not, there was actually malls too for the younger folks that are watching. People actually used to go to shopping malls. Yep, that was a thing. And they would have massive card shows. And this card in particular, I remember it being a $50 card raw is what dealers were looking at. Sometimes more. That's what they were looking to get for it, 50 to 75 bucks. Not necessarily graded. Remember, there weren't any graded cards back then. This was 1990, 91. I guess that was right when PSA maybe was starting to get going. But this rookie update, these action pack cards, they were thicker cards. And then just, there's like 4 or 5 cards in a pack. Just cool, especially compared to the paper stuff that was, the predecessors. Nothing against the paper stuff, but this was a kind of a groundbreaking set, I would say, was action packed in 1990. All right. What else do we have over here? I'll shift gears a little bit. I want to make sure I'm not blowing through this too fast to where I don't have anything else to show. Let's go. Because I only pulled out, I might just have to grab cases and just start pulling cards out. But guys, also feel free to throw questions, anything in the chat that you'd like. We'll talk through it. All right. 80s, 90s nostalgia nerd me. Well, you see behind me, Friday the 13th. I'm a big 80s scary movie buff. So the Friday the 13th, that's signed by, what is his name? Ari Lehman. That's the original Jason. I got that from the Raleigh Card Show. Graded original NES games. It's funny because my youngest son still plays this game. 40 years later. This is complete in box, so it's not a sealed copy. When you get sealed, then it gets a little wild price from a price standpoint. This just means that it's complete in the box, where it's got the box, it's got the manual, it's got the cartridge, and then they grade out each one of those things. I do have a Walter Payton, Jeff. I have not pulled it out. I might have to just grab the case, just bring it over and just start pulling stuff out. I've got, believe it or not, or it might be a 5 actually for Walter Payton. I don't think I have a 6. I think it's a 5, the rookie. I won't spend a lot of time on the games because I know these are card people, but hey, it's the same time frame, right? We're going back to the nostalgic 80s. Excite Bike. I also want to get Kung Fu. So there's 30 black box original NES games that I want to get graded or buy them graded. I guess I could get them graded, but there's 30 of them. I've got maybe 5 or 6 of them, and they're all kind of on shelves in my office. We're going to keep on going down this road. Starting lineups. They grade these too. 1994. So this is the rookie starting lineup for Brett Favre. I was a big Brett Favre fan in the 90s, hoping that they would beat the Cowboys because my New Orleans Saints were not competitive in those days. So this was kind of, obviously Brett Favre was bigger than life, kind of in the mid to late 90s, early 2000s. So yeah, I thought this would be kind of cool to have. Not super pricey, but just kind of a cool thing to have. Let me go to the chat. Excite Bike. Yeah, I played a lot of Excite Bike as a kid. Don't have Pitfall. Yeah, that's actually a good point. That 70s card show can only fit one of those games in a Pelican. Not convenient if you're trying to flip games at a show, unless you got, I don't know, a giant backpack or something, or wheel them in. Not exactly easy to grab. The slab weight. Are you talking about for the games or for the starting lineup? It's not crazy expensive heavy, but it's not light either. It's probably a couple of pounds. I don't know, a couple of pounds. It's not wildly heavy, but you also want it to be sturdy. Yeah, the game. I mean, you want it to be sturdy. At least it's not moving around in there. So it's not too bad. It's maybe a couple of pounds, but if you have a lot of them, yeah, and they're sturdy, but you also have to be kind of careful with them too. If you drop it on the ground, you might nick a piece of it. Might chip off. So not great. Not a new video for Retro Game Dad and Forever and a Day. I know. I know. Well, I thought that just to kind of make it a little bit different, I've been watching some of the other stuff. I was thinking, you know what? I'm just going to bring out a bunch of different stuff. So I collect cards, but I also collect just a lot of different types of collectibles as well. Shaq Fu. I don't want to say that was a great game because I don't know if it was a great game, but it was a game. Let's just put it that way. My favorite vintage baseball player. It's a good question. So my family, they're huge Cleveland Indians fans. They're huge into baseball and actually big time Roberto Clemente fans, just based on kind of what he did on the field and then also off the field. He passed away too early, all of that. So I think just as far as the person, if I'm just looking at the person as a favorite vintage baseball player, I would probably say Clemente. I've been looking at his rookie card and some of his cards. I do have actually passed down to me from family members, 1970 tops and 71 tops Clemente, just raw. I'm going to get them graded eventually, but they're just kind of staying in the family. That's stuff that was passed down to me. I did a video on that maybe 6 months ago, but basically just they were literally in rubber bands, that were kept in team sets that my uncle on my wife's side had been collecting. So, but Clemente rookies are not inexpensive. I think somebody might have shared on earlier on one of the other lives, a one that was like $1,000 or $1,100. So it's on the bucket list, but I think it's going to be a bit before I can get into one. Otani is up to bat. All right. Can't forget comic books. I'll just go through a couple of them here. So this was actually a recent pickup. With all the Marvel craze, I know that I actually thought the new Batman movie was pretty good. But I've been looking at kind of the DC villain stuff, and this was the standalone set that the Joker had. I believe it was only 7 or 8 issues back in 1975 is when this came out. Not super rare, I would say, to find this book, but in higher grade. So 9.6 white pages, 9.8. This one was $550. The census is about 200 copies of this book, I believe. And then there's, or maybe 200, 250 copies, maybe 300 copies. And then the 9.8, there's 100 copies or something like that. 9.8 is a $2,000 book for the most part. But just thought, long-term hold, I thought that would be kind of fun. And then for the 90s nostalgia stuff, Beavis and Butthead #1, The Simpsons #1, and a 9.8. So 9.8 is kind of like a PSA 10. And I've got some other Silver Age books. I've got like the Hulk #4 from 1963. I've got some vintage comic books, if you will. I like to kind of add that into. I really enjoy the history with, those early Marvel and then the older DC stuff, just in the same way that I do with a lot of the vintage cards. Is Brad on the Hobby Palooza list, or is he busy hosting a game show or something? Yeah, he's not on the Hobby Palooza list. Good. That's a good question. He's probably meditating. He's probably been meditating since 6 a.m., drinking some sort of a green vegetable drink. Tense grades and sports card grading. Well, I did see, I don't know, what is it tag grading that's now grading out of 1,000 or something like that. I saw that on Jeremy Lee's Sports Cards Live channel, that the new tag grading company. Yeah, they're going to get into kind of those decimal points from what I saw. Yeah, that's right. That's right, Rick. Yeah, Brad is doing LA, whatever that is. He's probably on a skateboard somewhere. That's a really tough one. Hall of Fame card collector, my favorite card in my collection. This kind of goes along the same lines of, what's your Grail card? And my answer, I'll go kind of like, but to answer that one, the Grail card, I haven't figured it out yet. I think I got back in 2018 after 25 years of not being in the hobby. I'm still learning about a lot of new sets. I'm still learning about a lot of different types of cards. So I haven't clearly identified what my Grail card would be. And I think it's just going to take a little bit of time to kind of weed through. Right now, I'm collecting a lot of different things and figuring out what I do like, and then kind of going from there. My favorite card of my collection, I would say I really like this Brees card because, like I said, I got it at the National. I was with a bunch of my friends there. A lot of them I had not met up until the National. So a lot of the YouTube content creators or Instagram people or viewership or whatever. So that event for me, my wife was there with me. That thankfully I brought my wife so she could actually see kind of all the camaraderie and everything. And she was just blown away by it. So that helps certainly when your wife is, supportive of all this crazy card stuff, collectible stuff. So I would say this one, just being a one of one, the 100 years Brees is definitely up there. And I would say this Willie Mays as well. Kind of just a proud pickup because I think this is, I know it's a tough find. It's a very tough find. And I wanted to have a good Mays autograph. Like I said, I'm really kind of a Hall of Fame auto collector, would be kind of the meat of my collection as it sits right now. I'll go. Yeah, I don't have any crazy Brees cards. I've got like for rookie cards, this is probably my best Brees rookie card. It's definitely on the bucket list. And it's auto. Is this the Game Gear one? Yeah. So I've got two of them. One is just a patch, and then this one is just an auto. This is a Game Gear rookie, and it got this at a pretty decent price at the time. They don't sell that often. This one is not numbered, but you know what? Brees has got a lot of rookies, just like Tom Brady. About 25% of my whole collection is Tom Brady cards, but I wouldn't say that I've got any, wild stuff. I've got a metal rookie card for him. I really like, honestly, like one of my favorite rookies for him is the blue Upper Deck one. And I've got a few copies of that card. So, I've got just kind of some volume there with Tom Brady, some graded Tom Brady stuff, but maybe I'll pull that out here. We're 26 minutes in. So, and I'm almost out of stuff to share. So I might have to go and grab more stuff. Turd Ferguson, the Mays auto makes no sense to you. Why is that? You don't like Willie Mays, or just the fact that, or just that card in particular? Do you still have your Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. card? Yeah, I have it from childhood. I have a raw copy. Yeah, I do. I don't have any graded copies of that card. Thanks, Pepino, man. I appreciate it. I like your channel too. The one thing that I like is you bring comedy. You actually have a good time. A lot of content. There's a lot of great content out there, a lot of serious content. So there's it's good to kind of get, throw in some humor in there. I like it. So I like what you're doing. What made me want to start doing YouTube? So I got back in 2018, kind of doing my thing, collecting cards. And like you see, there's a lot of different nostalgia things. Actually, before again, I answer that, Stranger Things, the summer of 2016, Stranger Things came out. And that, I feel like that really kickstarted my nostalgia, kind of that 80s, 90s, getting maybe my midlife crisis, kind of kickstarted all of that to where I got into all these different things. So I do have a couple of Stranger Things thing. I'll go back. I will answer your question, I promise. But this is the dual auto for the Duffer Brothers. Really hard to find both of them on card, pack pulled, not on card. I'm sorry, they're stickers, but difficult to find autos for both of them. And these are the creators of Stranger Things. My whole family watches it except for my wife. She doesn't like scary stuff. So and I actually got my 9-year-old daughter, I got her a Max relic card, to wear, like it's got a piece of like her sweater on it. And she was asking me every day, have you checked the mail? Is it in the mail yet? Freaking out over this stuff. And of course my daughters are both in love with Steve Harrington. So I've been looking for like autos for him and relic stuff. So that's been kind of a cool bonding thing with the family. That's really, I wouldn't say I do a lot of non-sports stuff, but that's an example. So anyway, that kickstarted my journey. I would say I watched that summer of 2016. And I was like, man, the show is great. All the 80s nostalgia. And, so I got back into it. I would say leading up to the pandemic, I was talking about it for a few months. I told my wife, I'm like, I'm starting to see, different YouTube stuff. I discovered YouTube sports card stuff. And I was like, I would really like to do this. I've never done any sort of TV broadcasting, nothing like that at all. But I was like, man, it would just be fun to talk about cards, collecting, buying, selling, news stuff, hobby stuff. I think that would be really fun to talk about. So it was probably end of 2019 where I started to talk about it. And then, of course, like with a lot of people, the pandemic hit. It was March 2020. And you kind of got that sense of like, man, is the world coming to an end? And then I was just like, what the hell am I waiting for? I may as well just go ahead and get started now. So my first videos, I'm literally in like a bedroom with no pictures on it. It's pretty low production, which honestly, not much has changed as far as that goes. I haven't really improved a lot of the production stuff, but I just really enjoyed making the content, and then also just the feedback, that I would get from people that were also involved, obviously. And then it just kind of snowballed from there, and then you kind of build a little bit of a viewership, and you start to kind of get momentum. And 850 plus videos later, I really make a lot of videos because I don't want to lose that momentum. I feel like, a lot of people are like, hey dude, you don't need to make a video every day. You could just make one once a week or once a month. And I know that I could do that, and it might be totally fine, but I genuinely enjoy making the videos. A lot of times, a lot of my videos are just talking points within the hobby. And some people think I'm dumb. Some people think that, why are you talking about this? Or, this doesn't make any sense. And a lot of times it's a thought that I've got, and then I'll make a video about it, and I'll get feedback. I learn from a lot of viewership on what they think. And a lot of times, these are not necessarily talking points that I see other videos on. So I try, and I try to do that purposely as well, to where it's not the same old stuff. There's a lot of great vlogging content, like Ryan Breakout Cards, the guy that was on before me, does amazing vlog stuff. He's actually been helpful for me too, where he's reached out to me and said like, hey man, I'm at this show. They've got this Brees card. Are you interested? And it's a great price. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So he's helped me out. I met him at the National last year. He's a great guy. So, Kenny Fornos, a lot of these guys do great vlogging content that I'm never going to be able to do to do that sort of stuff as good as them. I do some vlogging stuff here and there when I go to shows. I'll do a little bit of it. I try to make it fun and goofy. So I try to kind of, do something a little bit different that not necessarily everybody is doing. But there are starting to be, there's more and more channels doing that now, a lot of the news stuff and a lot of just hobby topics. And so I'm not going to pretend like I've reinvented the wheel and I'm doing something amazingly special, but I'm just making content that I enjoy making. It's not a chore for me at all. And, it's fun. So, and I've gained kind of friends and camaraderie from a lot of the community. And yes, there are people that are like, hey man, you don't know what you're talking about. And that's totally fine. Like I literally had a guy make a video about me that I was going to turn into a zombie in 6 months. Like it happens, like it's not everyone's going to like my stuff, and that's okay. But that's what got me into YouTube. And that's what's kept me here. And I don't see that ever really changing. I like talking about finance topics as well. So I try to wrap it all together, world events. And there's some people that are like, hey, man, like these world events have nothing to do with cards. They don't agree. And that's okay. That's fine. They can have their own opinion. That is fine. So yeah, that's how I got in. I don't plan on going anywhere. I really enjoy it. And I appreciate you guys, being here. All right. I'm just talking away. Any vintage autograph cards? So yeah, Tim, that's something I've been looking more at. Rookie cards, that have been signed, that are maybe PSA DNA. There's actually a card that I have in a PSA 9. I think it's 87 tops. It's the Bo Jackson Royals rookie. Maybe it's tops traded, but it's the blue with the black border. It's a really tough grade because of that black border. But I saw one that was signed, and it was, PSA 9 or an 8 or something. And I thought, man, that'd be really cool to have. So that actually might be kind of a rabbit hole I go down at some point, where it's kind of it's the rookie card. And I'm not necessarily as worried about the grade, but if it's got a nice auto, if it's got a 10 auto grade, for example, and it's a PSA 8, so it's fairly affordable, I think that would be fun to start collecting some of that stuff. All right. I'm going to grab another case, because I've gone through everything I had. I'm like, you know what? I've grabbed a lot of stuff. This is probably going to like last an hour, Apparently not. So hold on, stay tuned. I'm just going to walk over here and grab something. The backup cases. All right. I'm still here, Mike, I promise. Oof. Whoop. All right. Oh, I forgot these as well. So I picked these up last weekend at the Raleigh show, And this is something I'm doing some research on, but it's kind of these higher end Topps auto sets, for baseball. So McGwire, I love the picture on this one. McGwire. So, some baseball guys don't like him, steroid era and whatever, but Mark McGwire could hit a baseball before he ever got on any of the stuff. So I really like the picture here. It's numbered to, I think, 25. This one, it's Topps Diamond Icons. And then the Henderson, I've been looking at a lot of Henderson autos. He's got just such a nice autograph. This one's numbered out of 50. It's the Topps Definitive Collection. It's got that kind of gold framing. But the dealer kind of gave me a nice deal for buying both of these. They're both on card. And again, still kind of learning about this. I think this one is 2017 and this one is 2021. So learning about, kind of those sets, kind of the more higher end baseball stuff as far as autographs and that, kind of like the flawless national treasures of baseball. Mike actually was saying he likes them better, in some instances. So, I thought those were cool. There's a guy that had a bunch of this stuff. He had Hank Aaron autos and all sorts of things, but Hank Aaron autos obviously were a lot more expensive, but he had all sorts of cool baseball autos. So I'm, again, another rabbit hole that I'm going down. What's up, Ziggy? Good to see you. Thought this was Stoff for a second. Is it Stove or Stoff? I caught a little bit of his earlier. I like his channel too. There was some he wraps the comedy in as well. That was good. How do you prioritize your hobby budget given all the areas of interest? Excellent question. I'm not great at it. I did a video at the end of the year where, I picked kind of 20 targets, and there's comics, there's cards, there's all sorts of different things in there. I'm not going to pretend like I'm doing a great job at that. But I'm trying to figure it out. And I think that kind of goes again where it's like, what is your grail card? And I still haven't figured that out yet. I just need I need more hobby time, I think, to really kind of figure out. I do like a lot of the vintage stuff. And as I said, vintage baseball is just, the price points they've gone up a lot, so I'm just trying to figure out, is that going to correct? Now, look, I know 52 Topps Mantles, like Mickey Mantle stuff, probably, it's probably going to stay expensive, but Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, some of this other stuff, Clemente, is there a little bit of room? Do we have some economic turmoil coming to where maybe there's a little bit of give on those prices? That'll be when I really look hard at vintage baseball. If there's ever any sort of correction on vintage baseball, then I'll redirect my focus there. I just haven't seen that. Yet, and let me know. I mean, if there's pockets of vintage baseball, I would really like to have I believe it's 75 Topps George Brett rookie. There's certain ones. I want an 80 Topps Ricky Henderson rookie card. I'm trying to decide, like there's, I'm trying to decide if I want to go 8 or 9 on that as far as the Henderson rookie. So sorry. Yeah. I didn't really answer the question. I guess you figured out as far as hobby budget goes, I'm just kind of taking it one day at a time. Also trying to figure out too, with the national coming up, because I did get, dang it, I didn't pull that one out. I have a Unitas rookie card, a Johnny Unitas rookie card in a 4, and I got a 6 this past weekend, but I gave $600 of cash and then I traded about $600 of stuff. And it was Tom Brady and Steph Curry stuff, but it was PSA 9s, PSA 8s, different things where it was kind of like, can I live without this? And obviously with Brady and Curry being really hot players, not high end at all, just kind of, smaller stuff, $75, $100 cards, $200 cards, and that's what I'm looking at now. Are there PSA 9s of Tom Brady where maybe I could trade up into something else? So that's where I'm trying to figure it out. Yeah, the Robin Yount rookie card as well, Micah. You kind of nailed that. I love that set. The coloring on it is awesome. So yeah, both of those are on the list. So anyway, when it's all said and done, it's probably going to be a large collection. Hopefully my wife is not watching about the whole budget thing. I'm kidding. No, I definitely have a collectibles budget, to where it's like, all right, this is what it is. You can spend it on, it's comics or it's cards or whatever, but it's not endless. I've got 4 kids, there's other priorities as well. But I think the main thing is just trying to figure out everything that I buy, though, is something that I just always ask, like, am I holding this long term? Am I good holding this long term? And if I want to sell it in 6 months, okay, maybe, or trade up or whatever, fine. But am I okay with this over a long period of time at this price point? That's that. And if the answer is no, then I don't bother with it. Yeah, a lot of nostalgia with McGwire, especially going back to just like, the home run the home run derby with Ken Griffey Jr., McGuire, and Sosa. Everyone talks about the McGuire and Sosa, but Ken Griffey Jr. hit a ton of home runs, when they were battling out for the home run crown. And I know that you put an asterisk on it or whatever, but it was still an exciting time in baseball. And I just remember too, if you go back to 1990 and you're looking at like Mark McGuire rookie cards were all the rage. Barry Bonds, Mark McGuire, these were guys that were huge, chase guys, back then. And, they're a little bit tainted, I guess, with the PED stuff, but man, they were amazing players. So yeah, it's stuff that I pay attention to that. Here, the anti-PED player you ever, I don't understand. So that 70s card show, you mean like because you think that the PED stuff is overrated, or do you think that it's valid? The PED stuff is like they should be knocked down a peg for the PEDs. I'm wondering if sports art is really the more relevant collectible when compared to sports cards. People defend sports cards as art, but player autographed art seems like it could be the best of both. A guy that I know, a viewer, actually I'm staying with him at the National, he sent me a picture. So one thing, and he's a high-end buyer. This guy's spending serious cash, six figures on cards. But he sent me a picture of Jim Brown, and it's the same picture. It's the original. Where did I put it? It's the original picture. Shoot, where the heck did I put it? Oh, here we go. All right, so it's the picture that was used for this card, for his rookie card. And it was on eBay for $350,000. So it's one of one. It's essentially a piece of art. And so it was just kind of interesting. He sent it to me and he was like, is this a good deal? I mean, like, and it's a one of one. It's the original picture. I think it was signed by Jim Brown. I can't remember if it was signed or not, but anyway, he was saying that like graded copies of original photos, that are used for cards or otherwise, or like the next, it's the next big thing you hear about, there's tickets, everyone's big into tickets, and so they're now talking about, these original photographs. I thought it was kind of interesting. Yep. Bo Jackson, one of my fave athletes in the 80s into the 90s, 87 Classic Green is a great card. Yeah, I agree. I mean, Bo Jackson was everything. I remember, was he on issue number 1 for the Beckett football? I think it was just him, like a close up of his face on that first Beckett. I remember seeing that and just being like, oh my God, as like a 7-year-old kid. Yeah. Bo Jackson was everything. Brendan, ever worry about over diversification? Not as long as not as long as I feel good about the players, so if I'm buying if it's Drew Brees, that's my PC. If it's Jerry West, if it's Willie Mays, if it's Nolan Ryan, I pay attention to a lot of, so Beckett.com, if you go on Beckett.com, many of you probably already know this, but you can go there, search a player, and then not that it's perfectly accurate, but it'll give you a general idea of how many pack pulled autographs that player's got. So you can get kind of an idea of, let me grab one other thing. I'll show you. Hold on. Oof. So you can get an idea of how many autos, guys have. So, one guy I've been looking at, and I don't have tons of NASCAR, but this is one of the sets that's kind of a chase, Richard Petty being the GOAT, tied with Dale Earnhardt Sr., maybe tied with Jimmy Johnson. But this is Dale Earnhardt's premier rookie card. This is the Richard Petty card, obviously, but the Dale Earnhardt Uno card senior is a chase card, so this is my only vintage NASCAR card. It's from 1983. So technically not vintage, but, with it being kind of the GOAT, Richard Petty. And so I bring that up because Petty, although he has signed a lot of stuff, he doesn't have nearly as many, autos or on-card autos as Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. There's so much emphasis on basketball right now, it feels like. And I know that Michael Jordan is obviously, huge player. I was a huge Michael Jordan fan growing up, but there's just a lot of guys that it's fun to go on that Beckett.com site, get a feel for how are we doing on time here. 44 minutes. Okay. We're okay. We got about 10 minutes. you can get an idea of kind of how many pack pulled autos these guys have. And those can be kind of a fun chase, kind of figure out, okay, Richard Petty's got about 800 autos, different cards that have autographs. Whereas Kobe Bryant's got 2,000, Larry Bird's got 3,000 or whatever it is. So you can kind of, and then figure out price points based off of that. That's been kind of a fun game for me to play. As far as over diversification though, it just goes back to, do I believe in those players long-term? It's always Hall of Famers. And also, do I just love the stuff? And also the price point, am I getting it at a price point to where, hey, you hold this thing for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, whatever, or longer. And do I feel good about the price point I'm getting in at? That's really where it is. So again, I'm just surrounded by stuff that I really enjoy. And I think that's where the over diversification, but I really enjoy it. But then I also believe in that stuff over the long term. I don't have Bubby Brister, autos, not, he wasn't a Hall of Famer. For people that don't know, that was a Steelers quarterback. I just picked one out from the 80s. All right. Let's go back up here. Kind of gone full circle with art cards in a way, since all the early cards were art. Yeah. I mean, the vintage, a lot of the, I also got I should have grabbed more stuff to share, but I also just picked up a 61 Fleer in action Jerry West rookie card in a PSA 5. And that was an interesting card because the seller was like, hey, this card's got a story. And I'm like, okay, great. What's the story? It was in a BVG 8. And then he was like, you know what? I think this could probably cross over to an SGC 8. Let's just say whatever. He thought, I'm going to send it to SGC. He got a 6.5. And so he's like, man, I bet I could probably get a PSA 7. So he cracked it, sent it to PSA, and it came back a PSA 5. And then he's like, are you interested? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. If it was sitting in a BVG, where did I put it? Hold on. Let me see if I can grab it. I found it. All right. So the one thing with these cards is the centering is always a beast on these 61 Fleer. I'm trying to get the lighting right. The centering on this card is really good compared to other ones that I've seen. So corners, a little bit rounded, I mean, it's not pristine by any stretch, but the centering on this card was what really stuck out. And of course, the price point between in action and the portrait rookie cards is dramatic. I mean, it's just way more for the portraits. This was a Unitas 6 that I had gotten last weekend. And again, I'd like to have a Bart Starr and a 6, because again, these are kind of these legends, that paved the way. I'm a big football card collector, obviously. So these are, I love the vintage football stuff probably the most. I don't have a 61 Chamberlain. I almost pulled the trigger on an inaction. I really like the inactions. I like the fact that the Chamberlain said, like on the card, it says scores a 2-point dunk or something. It's got kind of a phrase that nobody would say in today's world. The Jerry West snags a rebound. I like the action shot as opposed to just the portrait. So not to say that I'm not going to eventually have the portraits, but that's kind of where my focus has been. Can't go wrong with type 1 vintage photos, especially the image of a famous baseball card. Yep. BVG is always high in their grades. Yeah. And that's what I heard, so. Yeah, the Unitas. Oh, hey, what's up, Joe? Silver Jackify. Silver Jackify is coming on next, too, by the way, guys. So, about 10 minutes? Silver Jackify will be on here as well. The Unitas is it's a beautiful card. It really, really is. And I think, I don't know, as far as the grade, I'd almost rather stick with a 6 and then just get more of the players. A Jim Thorpe card is one that I would really like to have. I probably won't have a 6, but if I start getting into a higher grade, it's less money for me to have to get a Bart Starr, or some of the other stuff, or the vintage baseball, frankly, that I would like to get. And obviously all the other things that you've seen. So yeah, I think that, it's going to be a fun journey. It already has been a fun journey, frankly. Yeah. Silver Jackify is on deck. What are you going to be talking about, Joe? What's going on? And then who's going to the National? Is anyone from the chat going to be at the National? I will be there Friday at about 1 p.m. And then I'm going to go ahead and drive back Sunday morning. So it's about an 8-hour drive for me. So no big deal. I'm not going to try to fight the airports. I'm just going to go ahead and drive it. Yeah, I hear you, Tyler, on the Jackie Robinson, but there's so much focus on Jackie Robinson right now. And like I said, it's like if there's some sort of, I don't know, recession coming, some sort of correction, not that Jackie Robinson's probably going to have any sort of correction, but if there's even a slight one, then I'll be ready, for that. But vintage baseball has just been so red hot. Yeah, I've never been to Atlantic City, so I'm looking forward to that. It's only going to be a day and a half to, 2 days, but it's going to be fun. Last year, honestly, you couldn't really beat last year in my mind. I thought that was really great. Met guys like Joe over Jackify, met Mike, met a lot of the guys, that do YouTube and, do social media. So that was really a lot of fun. This year is going to be interesting to see, what's attendance going to look like? What's the market going to look like? That's what everybody's wondering, how are dealers going to be? How's pricing going to be? So it'll be fun. Yeah, there's so much vintage at the National. I think my goal really, and I'm not going to go in with any sort of a set game plan, to where, I have to get this one particular card, because that never works. There's too much inventory there, to where you're gonna run into all sorts of different things you like. All right, guys, we are going to wrap it up. Mike's throwing the curtain down on me, but hey, Joe Silver Jackify is coming up next, so definitely stay tuned. Thank you very much for joining me. My YouTube channel is a Sports Card Dad. I'm on IG at Sports Card Dad, and I'm also on the Twitter thing, so I'll be there. Thank you very much for joining, guys. I'll talk.